So guys, today for you guys, we're going to be profiling a pretty fun deck that I enjoy playing just for fun. It is by no means a super competitive deck, but it's a fun deck that you can take to locals and have a lot of fun with your buddies. And that is the Sphinx deck, or as some people out there may call this deck, they may refer to it as the Pyramid of Light deck due to the movie, actually. So this deck revolves around a couple of interesting things. It revolves around the Sphinx monsters, Telean, Andros, and Sphinx Telea. So it revolves around these guys. These are your boss monsters of the deck. Now, there's really no template out there for building this deck. There is, I wouldn't even consider it an archetype, really, because there's only 4 cards, the 3 Sphinx monsters and the 1 trap card, Pyramid of Light. And that is all you have for the quote-unquote archetype, I guess you could call it. So I've had to build this deck from scratch. And like I said earlier before I get into the deck profile, it's a fun deck. It's a casual deck. It's not a super competitive deck. But I've tried to build it as best I can from the ground up because there is no template for it. So let us get into the deck profile right now. So first off, we run 1 Thinian the Great Sphinx, 3 Andros Sphinx, and 3 Sphinx Telea. Now, the reason we run these ratios of this guy is because these cards right here can be easily brought out. Sphinx, Andros, and Telea can be easily brought out fairly easily. Thinian, on the other hand, is a lot harder to bring out. So there's a bunch of different ways you guys should know that you can bring out these guys. You can bring them out through Pyramid of Light, the trap card. Simple, easy to do, you get the gist. Or you have another card that came out about a year ago, which I've run in the deck ever since, and that is Apprentice Piper. Now, if you guys don't know what Apprentice Piper does, it's pretty simple how this card works in the deck. So it's a flip effect, but it's actually a pretty good flip effect. So I know flip effects are not, really good in 2019, but this one's actually pretty decent even in 2019 standards. So pretty much just what this card does. It's set. You set this card. When it's attacked, it is flipped up. It gets its effect to special summon a monster from your hand. So you can special summon out Thinian, Telea, or something else that you have in your hand. Up to you. When it's destroyed, you get to special summon a monster from your hand. So Thinian, Telea, or something else in your hand. So pretty much what I'm saying is it's flipped. That's one effect. It gets destroyed, goes to the graveyard. There's another effect. So you get 2 effects off pretty much when it's flipped, if they're destroying it. And then if you need to, you can manually flip it to get the effect off to special summon, and then when they run it over, yeah, you'll take damage, but you'll get another special summon out of your hand. So you get how this card actually works in this deck. So that's why we run this, because if you have Apprentice Piper, you can bring out 2 Andros, 2 Telea, 1 Andros, 1 Telea, it doesn't matter. It works with this, so you can spam the board with these guys. And the good thing is, too, because these guys have the requirement that they can't attack the turn they are summoned. So if you bring them out through Pyramid of Light, they can't attack that turn. But if you bring them out through Apprentice Piper, it's on your opponent's turn all the time. So when it comes back to your turn, now you can attack with Telea and Sphinian. So, Telea and Andros. So yeah, that's why we run these ratios. And the reason we only run 1 Thinian is because Thinian over here is a really pain in the butt to get out, because you have to have 1 Andros and 1 Telea on the field. They have to be destroyed at the same time to bring this big bad boy out. Now, we do run cards in the deck that you can easily bring this out for fun, but you only run 1 of. If you really want to make this deck a little bit more competitive, just take this bad boy out and just run something else, because this card is just here because of nostalgia and for fun, and because it feels incomplete without running it in a fun setting. So, yep, that's your big guys. We run the 3 Apprentice Piper like we've been talking about here. Apprentice Piper, special summons, flips, you get the deal. Do keep in mind, before I continue on, with Telea and Andros Sphinx, these are light attribute, okay? They're both light attribute, and they're also level 10, which means you can either A, go for level 10 plays. They work with Mound of the Bound Creator, the field spell, and the light attribute, which you'll see why that works. That's important later. Same thing with Apprentice Piper. Great effect. It's a dark attribute. Don't forget that. Next we run Double Summoner Monk. 1 card guard. I like the Summoner Monk play because it helps me go for rank 4s if I need to, or helps me go for link plays if I need to. It also is useful to help go for card guard, which can protect your field spell, Mound of the Bound Creator, or it can help you protect things like Pyramid of Light, or your Floodgate, which is Skill Drain. So this can help protect those certain cards out there. Mainly, it's going to help you protect, not Skill Drain because it'll lose its effect, but mainly for your cards like the Field Spell and Pyramid of Light. So that's like I like it. And like I said, Link Playmakers and Rank 4 Playmakers. Also, don't forget Dark Attribute. The reason I stated about all these dark and light attributes thus far is because we do run 2 BLS in the deck. And if I remember correctly, BLS is at 3 of. It's come back on the list at some point in time. But I've tried it at 3 even recently in playtesting, and I didn't like it at 3 of. It can get cloggy because it does take some setup to set your graveyard up for light and darks. Even though you have a majority of your cards in your main deck are light. I think all your monsters in your main deck are light and dark, and then a couple cards in your extra deck are light and dark as well. So it's easy to set it up, but it does take setup. I mean, you could draw multiple double BLS in your hand, and it's going to be dead if first turn. So that's why I like 2 of, because it does take some setup. But still a very powerful card. You can combos, mind you, BLS with the next card in our arsenal, which is Honest. Now we run 3 Honest because A, it works well with a lot of your powerful light monsters that you have in your deck. So it works with your Sphinx monsters, all right, all of them, because they're all light attribute, like I said earlier. And it works with BLS because it's a light attribute. Plus it also works with a whole bunch of your monsters in the extra deck, which are light attribute as well. So you get where this is going along here. Honest is very useful. Some plays you can do is you can actually go Summoner Monk if you have a dead spell in hand. Bring out Honest if you already have like maybe a BLS on field or something of that nature. Bounce the Honest back, attack over a monster with Honest, then attack again with BLS as a secondary effect, so you'll do a lot of damage directly as well. So there's a lot of cool little tricks and things you can do with Honest even in this time in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. 1 Malefic Cyber End Dragon. This works well with Mound of the Bound Creator that we run as the field spell in the deck. It's just another beat stick. It can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, so you just banish your fusion, special summon this out, and you have a 4,000 beater that can't be destroyed and can't be targeted. Kind of cool. That's pretty cool. So that's why we run this guy in the deck, just as another special summon monster to bring out for free. And you also sometimes can make rank 10s with him if you wanted to, depending upon the situation. So I will mention that too. Next, like I said, we run Mound of the Bound Creator. Now this card's amazing in the deck. You're not going to be using its effect to search divine monsters. We're not running Sphere mode here or any of the Egyptian gods. That's not how this deck functions, but it helps protect your big level 10 monsters. We also run 2 Terraforming in addition to this because this is very essential to get this card up and running as soon as possible. And if you have extras, you can send them to the graveyard through Summon a Monk's effect. So, yep. Now, this card, I want more card, like another card to come out so I don't have to run this card in the deck. But at first, I was even trying it with the new support and the new ways I was playing the deck, and I'm actually okay with it. Now, the reason I say that is Power Duality, a lot of decks don't run it nowadays. If they're slower decks, yeah, they run Duality, but a lot of decks special summon, and this deck special summons. But if you're going first with this deck, the first turn, you are not going to be special summoning, period. I've never had that happen, and you may say, well, why is that? Well, if I'm setting my trap cards, like Pyramid of Light, to special summon out cards from my hand, it's going to take a turn for that to set up. If I'm going to use BLS or Scapegoat, that's going to take a turn to set up, at least. If I'm going to use Apprentice Piper, that's going to take a turn to set up because I have to set it, pass, go off on my opponent's turn. So you kind of get what I'm going here. Pot is pretty good going first. You can set up plays, set up combo things. search for cards that you could use for your next turn to go off on, and things of that nature. So that's why I like Pod Duality as a 2 of in the deck, not 3 of. If it's dead, pitch it with Summoner Monk. I'm not a fan of in a deck that does special summon fairly often after turn 1, which this deck does. But going first, it will never special summon, ever. Like, and very rarely will you ever do that. I think that's maybe happened once in a blue moon because of a situation that happened. But I can't recall something off the top of my head that has happened actually. So Pot sets up your hands and your fields to make them better. Next up, 2 Scapegoat. The reason we run Scapegoat, Links. It's another powerful, you can use this card to make powerful link monsters that you can go for in your deck. That's where we run Scapegoat. Go for your Borreload, Boar Sword, Sauja. Now we just mainly run Borrel's Sword in our extra deck, but if you wanted to, you could run Sauja or Borreload, but I run Borrel's Sword because I have it, so yep. Scapegoat helps set up for your big powerful link monster plays. Next up we have some draw power. 1 Desires, 1 Upstart, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Monster Reborn. Pot of Desires, I'm never a fan of running. I treat Pot of Desires as I would Pot of Greed. If I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. It's a card that I always find when I activate Desires, I always draw into another Desires. And I always have that tendency to happen, so just treat it like Pot of Greed. That's what I do for myself. If you want to run double Desires, go right ahead. Upstart Goblin, more draw power for the deck. Dark Hole, it works to bring out Thinian. And the same thing goes with Torrential Tribute in the deck. You can just, if you have Andros and Talea out in the field, you can Dark Hole the field if you wanted to for fun, destroy these, bring this out. But if you have Mound of the Bound Creator out, this functions as Regeki. Now you can run Regeki in the deck, but I like this card because it helps me bring this out if I want to for gimmick plays, or this will be protected by Mound and I can treat it as Regeki. So it serves a dual purpose. And Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. It's amazing. You get the deal. And like I said, this works through. This is the same reason we run Torrential in the deck. But these are your 1-of cards in your deck that you run. Next up, we run our Double Pyramid of Light. You don't want to run 3-of. I've play tested the heck out of it, and I just always seem to draw into Double Pyramid of Light, or they're dead, so I just like it as a 2-of in the deck. You can run 3 of it if you want to, but I only like 2-of, really, at the end of the day. 2 Storming Mirror Force. You don't have to. You could run the Solemn Brigade if you wanted to, but I find myself, like I said, turn 1, I'm just trying to set up. If my opponent makes a big, powerful board, I could just bounce the board back. It's useful. So you can run it, or you can run the Solemn cards or Ash. But I don't like running Ash in a deck that's not super competitive because it sometimes makes the deck less decent, actually, because it's not like it doesn't have the consistency to back it up to play a hand trap like Ash. Very hard to explain, but yes. But you can try it out. Run something else if you want to. Up to you. Double Torrential. You could run triple, but just run double. That's what I like doing. Skill Drain, Solemn Judgment, because they're amazing cards. Skill Drain, you definitely want to run this deck, hands down. It's amazing. Even if you are able to go for a link board, it's still nice to have this card. Just because it's just that good. You can either, and if they pop the card, then you can bring out, use it. It's just a win condition, pretty much Skill Drain is. Our Lucamine card, and then we run some rank 4s. Utopia Package, Bagasucha, Master Key Beetle for protecting our field spells and whatnot, and Exoton Knight. For your rank 10s, I run 2 of the Spiders. You can run the other one if you want to, but I usually don't go for it anymore. Dora the Explorer. You could run Gustav Max, or the new level 10 train that's coming out, I think, in February, and the female protagonist set, but that's not out yet currently, so I'm not running it. 1 Link Karibo, 1 Link Spider, Proxy Dragon or Mrs. Radiant, Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Unicorn, and Boral Sword Dragon, or Boral Load, or Sauja, whatever you want to. And then lastly, I run the Cyber End Dragon for the fusion play I run in the deck. So that's what we run there. The Link plays give it extra power in the deck. The Exceed plays give it extra power just to use you're really using, it's kind of like the old days when we used to use the extra deck for our boss monsters. You have boss monsters, but this deck is very interesting, I find, from play testing it and trying it out, because your boss monsters are in your main deck and a lot of boss monsters are in your extra deck. So this deck is kind of functions in a way, it's weird, where it puts out big beefy monsters on the field that are hard to get over. So that's kind of fun to do if you like this deck. It's just because, like, if you look at most of the monsters I'm bringing out, they're 3,000 attack plus, which is kind of fun to play around with. So yeah, it's kind of fun in that aspect, because you're either going for your extra deck boss monsters or your main deck boss monsters. But yeah, it's a fun deck, guys. It's not super competitive, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see all of you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everybody.